check. Uh-oh. Check. Oh dear. Check, 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 check. Not seeing you. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. Check. Can everyone hear me? Somebody fiddled with my... Somebody fiddled with my microphone settings since last time. But good evening, everybody. How is everybody in the chat tonight? Are we all excited to review? Oh, little clippy. We're hearing some clips. Oh, go back. It's too much. Oh, yep. No red light. It's red light. Oh, I sound like a robot. It says Oblivion 8. I don't know why I would sound like a robot. Cord is frayed. Chat is good. We're getting it. Are we still getting the clips? Are we still getting clips? How about now? Is this good? Check. How about now? Check. Very crunchy, exactly like a robot. Why is it like that? Check, 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 check. Maybe picking up somewhere else. A little better. We're hearing a little bit better. You know what? How about now? Yeah, let's do. That's a great idea. Let's unplug and replug. I can't tell if it's getting any better. We do have. This is. Shouldn't be that bad. Good. See, this is the problem. You try to make things good. Pretending I'm the air ductor. Okay, how bad is this? Is this bad? Is this bad? Can someone tell me if it's bad? Someone said, I see your favorite Ange. It says it's still bad. Dang, it's still bad. Check, check. How about this? Is this better? We're going back to the handheld. Is that better? Does everyone like this? Check. Check, check, check. Allan, are you able to... Allan, does it still sounding robot? Why does it sound so robot? So much worse, they say. Well, this is not how I planned for the first few minutes of the stream to go. Allan, keep everyone occupied while I figure out how everything's going. The sound situation seems to be very bad, and we don't know why. Hey, Bentley Deuce, it's not going great. Gonna be a little simple with you, but it seems like everything kind of sucks right now, and I'm trying to figure out why. Whoa. How's this, guys? So the music sounds good, but the audio is still wrong, is what I'm hearing, correct? Or the audio from the microphone is still wrong? Do 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 do. Everybody wants to have a lot of fun. Everybody wants the show to start. Everybody wants the sound to sound good. Do 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 do. What in the name of goodness gracious happened? I just want to say, love this. This is good content. This is great. It's like it does still crunchy, echoey, and check, 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 check. Yep. Better. Is it better now? Has gotten any better? Thank you, Giovanni H, for the subs. So we're still hearing robot. I don't understand what could possibly be happening. Check, check, check. Wait, does it still? Oh man, it's really bad. It's really bad. How about, okay. Oh boy, why is it so cricky dookie, crickety crackety dookity wackety? Absolutely being a dookie wacky dude, and I don't want the dookie wacky dude to be my bad dookie wacky dude. It's not a new
check. Oh. Okay, I think we did it. How about now? We good? Everybody's good? Good Lord. Well, welcome to EGI2's 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews. It's EGI2's 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews 4. We are absolutely back in business. The microphone has been fixed. I just did a lot of plugging and unplugging, and I tapped a couple of keys in different orders. And sorry, Shuli, the robot voice. You'll have to wait to EGI2 6 to 7 out of 10 game. Oh, and holy crap. So we're back in business, and we are welcoming everybody to the chat. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the patience. We are 18 minutes into the stream, and we have not talked a single bit about the 6 to 7 out of 10 game that we will be spending the night reviewing, and that is, of course, Shadowman Second Coming for the PS2. Second Coming is, of course, spelled 2ECOND coming. So it's in some ways you could say it's the Twekend coming of Shadowman. Of course, people will be reminded that Shadowman was one of the classic underappreciated often overlooked action platformers from the Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, and PlayStation 1 and PC era, which has recently released by friends of the show, Night Dive Studios, who have been so gracious to take that classic game, make it into a better version of itself, and re-release it on modern consoles with lots of little bells and whistles and all the things that you would hope from a remaster of this kind. I'm surprised they didn't call it something like Shadowman Resurrection instead of resurrection, or what's the opposite of when you toss someone in a grave? Burying. So Unburied, Shadowman Unburied. It's got the undead situation, of course, and it's also got a lot of issues. There's a lot of family issues that come up in Shadowman. So a lot of grave robbing. Shadowman exhumed. They've got exhumed. Of course, Night Dive Studio did with the exhuming what they did exhume the Power Slave, which I believe was the re-release of that was called Re-Exhumed, or Exhumed, or maybe it's just called Exhumed. Allan, if you're in the chat, shout out. If you're on the street hearing what people are saying about Power Slave, and if people are excited to play Power Slave with unlocked frame rates. Anyway, we're going to take a little bit of a deviation tonight. As you know, this is our non-numbered EGI2 streaming show that is continuing to be a work in progress. So tonight we're going to be doing things a little bit different. Not only are we going to be reviewing not only am I going to be reviewing Shadowman: The Second Coming, but you will be watching and listening and helping to score the game at the end of the show. Not only that, but throughout the show, we will be checking in with the calls and seeing what people are saying about Shadowman Second Coming and what their thoughts are, if they've played the game, if they haven't played the game, if by looking at the stuff that we're going to be showing about Shadowman Second Coming, if it's the kind of thing that people... If people are, I'm here for two reasons. The first reason is because we have to do the 20 hours a month, so it's difficult to do that with only just doing the EGI2 numbered streams. So we're going, and and two, I want to see if I could just make a more free form show based around reviewing games that people don't like very much, but I find to have a I find I have a soft spot. I have a soft spot in my heart for Shadowman Second Coming because and I'll give you, and this is a bit of a bio piece here, but let's take it away for autobiography, which is that when I played Shadowman Second Coming, I was living alone in a apartment in Baltimore. I was very sad. I was missing all of my friends back home in Florida. I found I was in a new city, making a lot of poor decisions. I was playing. I purchased Shadowman for the GameStop that was two doors down from where I lived, in this apartment that was adjacent to a Chinese restaurant, and the owner of the restaurant was also my landlord, and he also allowed the apartment to be overwhelmed with cockroaches. And one night when I was playing Shadowman Second Coming, I had preheated the oven for the first time and apparently in a long time, to play to make myself a bit of a pizza, but unfortunately all of the cockroaches that were living in the oven were burned in hellfire. So whenever I think of Shadowman Second Coming, I think about burning cockroaches and a pizza that I could no longer eat because it would smell like the burning cockroaches. But flash forward many years, and a lot of the experiences later. We all have our own experiences with games like Shadowman Second Coming, I'm hoping. And so we can come together, I think, at the end of this stream and give it the score between 6 to 7 out of 10 that it deserves. First off, let's kick off our Shadowman Second Coming review with a look at Shadowman Second. With a look at Shadowman Second Coming, with the trailer that was released with the launch Shadowman. We'll take a first look at Shadowman Second Coming by taking a look at the trailer that the trailer that preceded the launch of this. So that was the trailer for Shadowman Second Coming. I hope everybody enjoyed that. We are now going to be opening our phone lines earlier in the evening than we normally do, because we do want to hear what people are saying about Shadowman Second Coming, based on just the trailer. If they've never seen the trailer before, or if they've seen the trailer before and seeing it for the first time on seeing it for the first time on twitch.tv/EGI_2 makes it any difference. Caller, you're on the air with Electronic Game Information. What are your thoughts? And on Shadowman Second Coming, where are you calling from and who are you? But do it in the reverse order. So name first, place then Shadowman Second Coming.
Copy that, Robbie. This is AB from South Texas again. I've never heard of Shadowman before. While watching the video, it reminded me of a couple other games. At first, I thought it was I don't know the name of the game. It's the skeleton guy with the big buggy eyes. You know what game that is?
Medieval?
Yeah, that's the one. It reminded me of that for a second, but the anatomy was too realistic. And then I was thinking it could be like an amalgamation of like Mad Max and what's it, Dante's Inferno. That's what I was thinking. That's the vibes I was getting.
So that's an interesting thing. Taking a first look at Shurkin. Making a first pass at Shadowman, second coming with just the eyes and the mind. You thought to say to yourself, well, this looks like a combination of. It's rather than seeing a new game, you saw it as a combination of several other games.
Yes, that's right. I'm a very visual thinker. I break it down that way. That's the way my brain works.
Why is that?
And well, I'm an artist. I'm always looking at like the composition of things, and I'm trying to like always move things around and squish and squeeze them, and get things the way I want them to look, or like compare them to other things I've seen. That's kind of just how I think.
And in South Texas, you get a lot of chance to squish and reshape things in the shape that you want them to.
Unfortunately not. There's quite a barren landscape here. There's not very much to do. Before here, I used to live in Austin, and there's a lot of places to go around and look at.
Yeah, a lot of places, a lot of things to squish and squeeze and reshape in your own with your heart and your hands, I would say.
Yeah, you can really get some mud and clay underneath your fingernails, and just go crazy sometimes.
You ever hear tell of one of them? Not a golem, is it? Starts. I feel homunculus.
Well, those can be synonymous. They're both man-made to a degree.
And when you look at Shadowman, you look at Shadowman and Shadowman's Second Coming, you got to wonder to yourself, the art style on display here. What's the thinking here? We do have some gameplay footage here. I'll throw up on the screen. Now you're seeing. Well, this is the problem. Well, this is the problem with just having the game footage running in the background. He's actually not in Shadowman form. He's actually in the form of Michael LaRoy. I think it's one of those weird R's.
Okay.
So, what kind of art are you making there in South Texas, there, kid?
It's mainly a bunch of doodles. Actually, I have one here next to me. I'll watch streamers like you, EGI, and I have some that I wanted to draw some screenshots from yours, but I haven't gotten around to them. Right now, I've drawn a screenshot from someone else who was streaming Grand Theft Auto, but modded. So we've got a mariachi in a car. We've got Pablo Escobar polishing the hood. Hank Hill is dancing, and Kermit is doing a wheelie in the background. And just a beautiful mountain landscape.
Hank Hill, the gangster?
Well,
the Goodfellas guy?
Oh, no. You're thinking of Henry Hill.
Oh, right.
This is Hank Hill from also Texas. He's Arlen.
It's a big state. It's filled with It's filled with creative people. It's filled with a lot of different minds from the Gulf Coast to the desert to the whatever North Texas is.
That's absolutely right. Sometimes you got to look into the crevices to find the really creative, juicy bits.
What's the juicy bits?
Well, bits like I'm kind of describing it weird, but there's certain people. I don't want to say like some people are better than others, but you see certain people, or you get the vibes around certain people. They're not the same. They're not like regular people. Like I can probably get these vibes from you. I would say you and Allan are very juicy people. This is like an off the cuff thing, but you can just like see that they have like something to say, and like just their words or something that will have like more of a impact on what you're thinking and how you're feeling.
Sort of like how you play a game however many years ago, 10, 15 years ago, in an apartment filled with cockroach smoke, and the game is fairly forgettable, but something about the whole experience, the whole package, you're saying, becomes sort of lodged in the back of your brain like a nettle. And,
That's right.
And then fast forward to 2024. Here you are talking about Shadowman: Second Coming, that same game in the smoke-filled room.
Yeah, exactly.
So
if you hadn't started the show to talk about Shadowman, we would never have known the story of those cockroaches and how you lived in that time, and how your pizza was sacrificed, and yeah, this is just bringing us all together with this Shadowman footage. I wish I could play it now.
Well, unfortunately, the great tragedy of Shadowman: Second Coming is that it was a PlayStation exclusive when it was launched, and it remains a PlayStation exclusive to this day. So the only way that you can play it is through either the grayish market. I don't think I need to explain much further than that. Or you can play it on original hardware on an original PlayStation 2 DVD.
Oh yeah, I'll have to keep working on this grind, this capitalism.
Oh, did I accidentally hang up on that guy? Hello?
Hello?
Caller, give me a second. South Texas?
Yes?
I accidentally hung up on you because I was trying to put somebody else on hold.
That's right. There was some jazz. I enjoyed it. It was some like a whole jazz.
Did it tell you anything? Was there a kind word for you?
No, it just kind of started like bopping. Do 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 do. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your call. We've got another caller on hold, and I want to thank you for your thoughts. And I hope that you are able to put your hands in the dirt when the rains strike the desert sands and turn the dust to the mud, and then don't cut yourself. But
don't?
You could probably you could go to a lot of supermarkets sell blood these days. Have you ever noticed this?
No, I haven't noticed that yet.
A lot of there's a place that's called Seafood City here in Los Angeles, and it sells blood. So just get yourself some blood, throw it in the mud, muck around, use some electricity if you have to, but get yourself a friend that follows you around wherever you go, does whatever you say, and maybe you could teach it to play Overcooked.
Oh, thank you very much. This actually it's very impactful. I needed to hear that.
All right.
Today.
Well, thank you for your call. We got another caller. Thank you, and we'll be just be safe because with great power comes great responsibility.
Thank you very much. Back to you, Robbie.
Back to you. I forgot his name. Caller, who are you, and where are you calling from?
This is Aura, and I'm calling from Savannah, Georgia.
Aura from Savannah, Georgia, the eternal city, the city of ghosts.
Yes, it's a very haunted city. That's something we're known for.
It's something that, of course, that also Shadowman: Second Coming is known for. All of the ghouls and ghosts and undead armies. The Asmodeus. What's give us a ghost story here from Savannah, Georgia. Aura from Savannah, ghost story, go.
A ghost story. Well, we're supposed to be the most haunted city, but I think that's in contention also with New Orleans.
Yes, New Orleans, which of course is the base. Which of course is where Shadowman: Second Coming's introductory levels take place.
Right. So I don't want to try to take the throne or anything there, but a ghost story. One time when I was very young, I saw a strange white light moving across my bedroom. And when I got up from my bed to turn the light on, there was nothing there, even though there was a very clear kind of orb shape on the wall.
Gee whiz. Holy crow.
It was very scary at the time.
Tell you what, do any supermarkets near you in Savannah sell blood?
Not that I'm aware of, not intentionally.
Well, let me tell you what. You get yourself some blood, go out there into the swamp, sort of behind the city. You know what I'm talking about, the big one.
Yes.
No, it's not. It's not Chattahoochee. It's Ogeechee. Agichi. So you go there, you get yourself some blood, get into the mud there. Maybe if you find a dead animal, kind of like mix up, give it some. Take off the eyes, take out the tongue and the fingernails, and toenails.
Right.
Mix it together with some electricity, and I think that's a fantastic way to make yourself like what I think the witches of old may have called at one time a familiar.
Okay, so yeah, like a homunculus.
Right, a homunculus or some sort of a. Well, I don't know if it's considered. There's probably is there another word for that's similar to homunculus in chat that we can come up with? I believe that homunculus refers to a very specific thing that's got like, it's got like hair and grass in it. Tulpa?
Is that a Frankenstein?
I think tulpa sounds correct. That's from Jovial Jellyfish in the chat. And tulpas don't need butter. So let's go ahead and get yourself a tulpa and report back to us on progress as things go. But Aura, what are your thoughts on Shadowman Second Coming? Since we're deep into the review right now. We've seen the game trailer. We've watched a great deal of games footage. What are your thoughts?
Well, the footage I'm seeing right now, he appears to be fighting some kind of flying starfish.
Right.
I'm not sure exactly what's happening, and it looks like he's having a lot of trouble doing it. So it looks like the enemies and the combat in here is very difficult.
Well, it's one of the it's one of these PlayStation 2 action, sort of an action platformer. I believe that this would more be on the action shooting side, but I do know that I can confirm there is platforming. There is the kind of thing where you're kind of on like a line or a pole and you're. He
has a lot of guns.
He has a lot of guns. He's got a lot of magical items, and we will be talking about how the game actually plays in a moment. But before we get into that, I would like to talk a little bit about the story. If you'd stick with me for a little bit, get a game story
sure.
and writing. That's game story. Story and writing. And here's a little bit of a taste of the story. We don't have time to go through the entirety of it, but 10 years after a harrowing incident with the demon, ex-cop Michael, and we will was he a cop? I don't think he was a cop. Michael Leroy finds himself drawn back into the supernatural fray. Cursed to become the gunslinging, undead vigilante Shadowman, he must defend humanity from a new threat, the Grigori. These seemingly ordinary humans are actually fallen angels in disguise, plotting to free their imprisoned leader Asmodeus and unleash hell on Earth. Shadowman's journey takes him from the swampy backroads of Louisiana to the bustling streets of New York, facing grotesque demons, corrupted officials, and even a vengeful spirit seeking redemption. Armed with his signature shadow pistols and mystical voodoo powers, he unravels the Grigori's conspiracy, encountering allies like the wise Mama Nettie and the mysterious Thomas Deacon.
Oh, wow.
But the burden of being Shadowman weighs heavily on Michael, grappling with his dark past and the duality of his existence. He must choose between embracing his power and succumbing to its seductive darkness. As the Grigori's ritual nears completion, Shadowman faces a final showdown against Asmodeus, determining the fate of not just himself, but the entire world.
Wow, that sounds almost a little bit like Spawn.
It does
in a way.
It does sound a little bit like Spawn, and of course, the original Shadowman comic was a similarly.
He kind of looks like him too, with the mask off.
Originally the Shadowman was just a kind of a hot guy, and he just had like a kind of Mardi Gras mask on. And everyone was just like, oh, he's so hot, and then he would go to women's homes, and because he was a saxophone player, and they would see him playing saxophone, and they would go home with him, and then they would be demon women, and then he would have to put the Mardi Gras mask on, and that was Shadowman. But then later,
it's a very colorful story.
But then later they put the mask in his chest.
That's a good place for it.
I mean,
he can. The face he's making right now is very intimidating. I think that's kind of what I would.
If you're going to be loose with your morals and have multiple partners, I mean, I don't know if you could consider them partners. I don't know if it was a polyamory situation or if it was just,
Saxophone players are known for that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't judge. I think people can do whatever they want with the time that they have on
Absolutely.
this earth. Life is short unless you're Shadowman, in which case you live several different lives over the course of many thousands of years, traveling between the world of the living and the world of the dead. But the point that I was saying was that... What was I saying? Anyway, thank you for your call, Aura, and stay safe if you end up making yourself a tulpa, because those things have tendencies to be taken over by other more powerful magical beings.
Absolutely, and I will keep you updated on the progress there.
All right. Thank you for your call. Caller, you're on the... Who's this? What the hell is happening? Someone's being a freak. There we go. Caller, you're on the air with EGI2. It's 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews for Shadowman: The Second Coming. What are your thoughts?
All right. Hi, Robbie. This is Jan Redmond from upstate New York calling in again. Shadowman 2, 2ECOND coming.
2ECOND coming. Don't get mistaken with Shadowman Tekken, because that game doesn't exist.
That would be pretty cool.
It would be pretty cool, to be honest. Of all the unlockable Tekken characters that have been over the years, I think very few people would see Shadowman coming.
I would like to see someone like Shadowman in a game like Dragon Ball Fighter Z by Arc Systems Works.
What the hell did you just say?
Never mind all that. But circling back to Shadowman 2ECOND coming. I'm seeing these radial menus, and I'm loving the radial menus.
I'm a big fan of radial menus myself, although a lot of going back and learning what I could about Shadowman, the second Shadowman game, in the 15 minutes that I spent actually preparing for the stream, I found that a lot of people were complaining about the radial menus and thinking that it actually bogged down the flow of the gameplay.
Oh, that's not cricket. Honestly, I like radial menus a lot. I was playing Dishonored when it came out when I was younger, and my big brother came by and tried to get me to switch to using hotkeys in the scroll wheel because he thought I was being inefficient. But I told him to bugger right off, so to speak. But I framed it in a more polite way. But I told him I like the radial menus.
While you're on the phone here, let's take we've gone over the story. We've talked a little bit about what the Shadowman is up to in terms of his battle with Asmodeus and the Grigori, which I assume is Grigori. Do you think it's like Gregorian monks, or do you think it's like Grigori Rasputin? Probably the latter.
Kind of reminds me of Father Grigory from Half-Life 2. Famous Ravenholm section.
Well, but the problem with that would be, I believe that Shadowman came out in 2003, and Half-Life 2 came out in 2004.
So this actually predates, and maybe there's a little bit of light lifting or inspiration.
So this is breaking news, because what you're trying to say to me is that you think that somebody from the Shadowman development team snuck over to Washington, snuck into the offices of Valve, saw that they were messing around with somebody named Grigori, decided that they should also have a situation with the Grigori, but the multiple Grigoris. So they were trying to one-up the Half-Life 2 developers.
Yeah, it's actually a reverse espionage, reverse corporate espionage situation, because they snuck into Valve and put their own idea that they already used into Shadowman.
God above. These people will stop at nothing. And I will say that we're talking a lot about how, creating familiars and a lot of things. A good tulpa, I think it was we were talking about.
We're kind of on ghost stories tonight. We're kind of on a spooky tilt.
I mean, it's not.
Have ghost.
I have
a couple short ghost stories. But,
all right, let's hear it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's less about the go. I'm more interested in how we use mud and blood and sometimes electricity, but mostly just hard work to make little people that follow us around.
It kind of reminds me. I've never used mud and blood, but it kind of reminds me of stands from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Those guys that stand over the shoulder and channel the energies through the little guy.
Do they pop out of the side of the frame like in Marvel vs. Capcom or something?
They do, and you've got to stay in that one game, in that Capcom arcade game, I think it was. They've got a stand meter that you can build up with your combos and then use to bring out your stand. And your main guy is more vulnerable when the stand is out.
Well, let me ask you this question. I mean, Capcom used to publish JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Why the hell do you think that we haven't seen any of those guys in the Marvel vs. Capcom games?
That's a darn good question, and I don't have the answer for you tonight.
Well, let's take. Thank you for your call. Let's take a quick look at what I would say is an example of the writing in Shadowman Second Coming, so that we can make a determination on as to whether or not Shadowman, the second Shadowman game, has story and writing.
Your voice! Keep it down! This place is crawling with Maltese thugs.
Oh, right.
You've been playing with Nettie's makeup again?
Huh? Oh, the symbol on me noggin? Yeah, well, I don't know much about it except that it itches like bloody hell. Now, what about getting me down from here, you wee gouter? Oi, be careful with that thing. You'll have me eye out with it, so you will.
I'll do more than cut your eye out if you don't shut the hell up.
You will catch me, won't you, Michael?
Whoops. Missed.
Yeah, bloody idiot. I think I've broken me skull. Me brains are sure to be pouring out all over the place any minute.
What brains?
Oh, very funny, very bloody funny, I'm sure.
Okay, we're gonna get out of here, but you gotta keep low. We shouldn't be too difficult for you.
Oh, quite the feckin' comedian, aren't we? Ah, me leg! It's me leg, Michael!
Jesus.
No, me leg! It's me leg, Michael! I don't think I can walk on it. I think you're going to have to carry me.
Climb up on my shoulders.
Ah, away with you. Leave me here. I'm sure I'll be all right. I'm sure that the bat...
Now, we do have another call coming in, and someone, I believe, who wants to address the issue of the Shadowman, the second Shadowman game's writing and story. Caller, you're on the air with EGI 2, 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews for Shadowman: The Second Coming. Second Coming. Caller, who are you and where are you calling from?
This is Kat. I'm calling from Ithaca.
Kat from Ithaca. How's the mud and mud situation up there right now?
It is pretty muddy, actually. It hasn't been snowing, but it did rain a couple days ago. So. And
so you've got overcast skies, lots of mud on the ground, lots of opportunities to sort of put your hands in the stuff and the muck, shape a little person, and give it some of either your blood that you've retrieved safely or blood from the store.
That's right. I can't say that I've seen blood at the store before, but I might be looking in the wrong place. So. Well,
usually it's sometimes it's in the frozen section of all places. That's the weird. I mean, because you probably just don't want to have pools of the stuff sitting out in the open.
Yeah, that actually does make sense. Maybe I've just not been paying that much attention in the frozen aisle.
Well, given the chance to put your hands in there, make something that'll spend some time with you, maybe help you run errands or do housework. What the hell would you name that thing?
Well, I feel like I might have some ethical problems with making a guy just to do work for me, but
I don't think it has to be.
If there was one,
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that I'm pretty sure that the gender is I don't know if it's even up to you. I think it's just what it is.
That's a good point. I guess I was thinking it would be a guy because I'm watching the gameplay and there seems to be a little guy with a hat in this game.
Oh, that's Jaunty.
Yeah,
He
he
used
seems
to be
cool. I do like
used
his
to be a
hat.
snake in the first game.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, he would sit outside of the gates to Dead Side, which is of course the place where everyone goes when they die. Instead of as part, a lot of us being raised in the Christian communion, that we believe that there's two different places that people go, but in fact, according to the Shadowman lore, we all go to the same place, which is Dead Side.
Oh. See, I didn't know that, and I haven't played this game myself, but I am trying to learn enough about it that I could give it, a tentative rating at least by the end of the stream.
Well, in terms of what you've seen I read a little bit of the story documentation. We saw some of the writing in action. Does it have story and writing?
Well, there definitely is writing. I don't know if the writing is good per se. I feel like I can't quite determine that yet, but I do think it looks I don't know. It looks a little silly, but in a fun way.
Kat, what do you think?
Kat's talking a little bit. Kat's having a little bit of an issue coming up with a determinative answer. But let's see what the chat says. If Shadowman 2 does in fact have story and writing.
That's a good idea. I think the chat could help.
Let's just sit here for a second and wait. Just wait. Hold on. Good story, good writing, but there's writing. It does have story, does have writing, and Kat, if you're on agreement with the chat, then let's go ahead and give it that determination.
All right, I think I am going to agree with the chat. I think they're probably right about the story and the writing. I trust them. I do have to say that I opened up the Wikipedia page for this game, and it seems like they considered advertising on real people's tombstones. So that's a little frightening. I'm not sure I like that. So I'm going to detract a couple points based on that and give it a 6.3.
6.3. Okay, well let's hold that in the back of your head for when we actually give it a thing. But we do have determined. Thanks to Kat from Ithaca, that we do have story and writing. There is story and writing in the Shadowman Second Coming.
Sounds good.
Thank you for your call, Kat, and don't worry about the morals of creating familiars because they don't have souls.
Okay, I will.
Thank you for your call. Next up, we have Shadowman, the second Shadowman Tekken coming. What is it? It's how to play. So here are the buttons on how to play Shadowman, the Second Coming. You can see here everything has been mapped out to the PlayStation 2 controller. If we're gonna go ahead and take that in for yourselves, and give us a call when you've found a place that makes sense to you to make the call. Because this game does in fact have 2-stick analog control. Well, this is not an Xbox controller. It is a blank controller template that I've devised. That when we do these game reviews and we need to show how exactly you get to play the game, that you just get to add the buttons to the. This could just as easily be a GameCube controller or an Xbox controller or even a Wii U Classic Pro controller. Color, you're on the air with EGI2. What's the rest of the stuff? 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews for Shadowman Second Coming. What are your thoughts?
Hey, Robbie, it's Gio from Texas. I am looking at the controller. I see you said it's a PS2 game.
Correct.
So I think it would always be a PS2 controller, right? I don't think there's any way to put other controllers in a PlayStation 2.
Well, what I did was I got a template. I made a template for any controller that uses a kind of modern sort of post 2001 controller standard setup or something like it with the with the twin
so
analog sticks.
You can reuse the graphic because most controllers have that.
And then I just write all of what all the buttons do on top of the template.
But for Shadowman, it's always going to be PlayStation.
But it's currently only on PlayStation 2 unless you use the gray market.
I think there are some funky like dongles that will convert controllers to the PlayStation 2 port, but I think it is its own port, so it is always going to be PlayStation 2. Is that? Oh, so actually looking at the graphic, that's not. The PlayStation 2 has the analog sticks at the bottom, right?
Right, but I'm just saying this is a standard template for any two analog stick controller.
Yeah, but is the D-pad
you see him
on
straight,
your graphic?
He was strafing a second ago.
Does the D-pad on the graphic correspond to the D-pad on the PlayStation controller, or does it correspond to that location on the PlayStation controller?
Ask your question again.
So the D-pad on the graphic, does that correspond to the D-pad on the PlayStation controller, even though it's on top?
Yes.
Okay, so
but
your move.
So you can move the camera with either the right thumbstick, or you can use the D-pad or use the left and right buttons on the D-pad.
Okay, so you've got pause and inventory. You can move. You can zoom. You can pan the camera. I can't quite make out what's happening on the triggers because the text is overlapping.
Right. Well, the R1. So R1. Oh, so that's actually pretty simple. I'll spell it out for you. L1 and R1 both switch. Wait. So L1 allows you to switch the weapons or items in your left hand, in Shadowman's left hand, or Michael Leroy's left hand, and R1 does the same for the right hand.
Yeah. So it seeks through your inventory, and then you can use the weapons. So it looks like this is one of the games that uses all the buttons on the controller.
Right.
I see everything is in use. It uses the select button.
Actually, Eagle Eye Geo from South Texas, unfortunately, I have to tell you that there is one button missing.
Well, it's not on screen right now, so I can't quite see it.
That's okay.
I know there's
you could probably
analog
because I know that you have a sharp intellect of minds. You're an artist, a creator. You could probably take one look at this and know exactly which button I'm talking about.
Well, there's the push buttons where you push in the controller, and it's like the L3 and R3. There's the analog button on the PS2 controller. But I think all the ones that are here are used, right?
Well, you were getting warm, and then you got cold again.
Analog, start, select. Screenshot didn't come till later. I never used PlayStation, so I don't have a PlayStation controller.
Well, luckily I found this template, so it's more of a standard controller that you could probably... The idea is that everyone can kind of acclimate to this as we could do more video game reviews.
It has to be a non-standard button, because that's all the Xbox buttons, for sure.
Chat, I think someone in chat's got it.
Yeah, I said L3 and R3 where you click the thumbstick click.
So L3 is not mapped, but R3 is. R3 snaps camera back into kind of a default place, but L3 is not used.
Okay, so L3.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's kind of awkward to use that because that's your move. You're always going to be holding L3.
I mean, we use it all the time nowadays.
I don't think I can find it within me to dock points for that. I think it's okay not to use that button.
Well, we don't actually add the points until later.
Well, just like my own, like if I'm thinking about how to score the controller part,
right?
I think that's still like that's a solid control set. That's a solid control set.
Okay, and now that we've gone through the what the controller does, let's take a look at how to play Shadowrun Second Coming.
So you said you did play Shadowman 1.
The second Shadowman game. Yeah, I played them both.
You played the first one.
Played the first one twice.
You played them both. played the first one twice. You played the second one once.
Correct.
Okay, so you actually have some first-hand experience on how the gameplay feels. Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
How to play. This is the how to play section of the Shadowman. This has never been if you're just joining us, we're reviewing Shadowman Second Coming on EGI 2, 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews 4, and this is how to play Shadowman Second Coming. Follow the shaft, jumping over numerous pools, and you'll come to a large room. Go to the right to enter another large room with a campfire, but don't warp through it yet, and a locked door to the left. You'll also get the teddy bear signal, mines. Look for the lever in here. It's to the right of the fire, and pull it to make the door open. And as soon as you enter the door, you'll see 2 statues holding a globe. Shoot the globes to make a platform raise in another room. Go down the hallway on the right to another statue. Shoot the globe out, and the one at the other end of the hall to make another platform raise. Enter the room you just passed and shoot the 4 globes to raise another platform and extend a rope across the room. Kill all the beasts that appear, and then climb onto the platform. Specifically the platform with an alcove. Grab the cadeau in there and do the same for the platform next to it. Climb the platform with a rope and shimmy your way across. Remember?
Same rope, yep.
Above you there. Drop down and grab the sigil on a ledge above you to the right. Taking it makes a door open below you. Go through that and follow the long corridor to a large room with some water in it. Dive in and search for the 2 cadeaux. So it's like a Creole, Cajun or Creole French on the bottom. Then surface and climb it's spelled Cadaux.
Cadeau.
Cadeau. But there's probably some sort of like a thing that you're supposed to do with your, like the roof of your mouth. Quickly jump across them before they sink. Climb the ladder to the left. Follow the circular chamber to a block in the wall. Push that to open a door right next to you. Walk up to the fire. You can't warp through it. And grab the cadeau to make.
So I'm really interested in warping.
Kill them all. You got to warp between the world of the living and dead side.
Is that on the controller?
No, I think you just walk into either kind of warp points or fires.
Oh, that's environmental. Okay. So that's when you change between the Shadow Man and I guess the non-Shadow Man, where he's just a normal man.
And that's how you play Shadowman Second Coming.
Well, that sounds like it's definitely how to play one. It sounds like 1 or 2 rooms, 1 or 2 shafts.
Right.
Of Shadowman.
So what would
and
you
I think
say?
That's a representative.
What I want to know is, we caller and chat, yes or no.
For gameplay.
Gameplay and control. Yeah.
Okay, I think the controls are pretty filled out. And we've been seeing gameplay, so I have to give it. I was going to say the gameplay sounds pretty generic, but the warping is pretty exciting. That's kind of a new mechanic. So I got to give yes to both.
Yes to you heard it here. Breaking news: Shadowman, the EGI 2, 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews for Shadowman Second Coming. Says it controls and gameplay. It's a yes.
I think Starburst has fallen loose on your slide.
What?
On the gameplay footage. The little starburst behind the logo is very slowly moving to the bottom right.
No, I don't think so. Thank you for your call, though.
Well, you're the expert.
And thank you, everyone. What we're all doing tonight is becoming Shadowman Second Coming experts. Thank you for your call. Let's take another call right now. Caller, you're on the air with EGI 2, 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews for Shadowman Second Coming. what are your thoughts?
Well, back to you, Robbie, and back to Allan, even though I think he's not here. But it is your good friend, your pal, your pit pal, friend of the show, friend of the chat, Scott from Pittsburgh.
Scott from Pittsburgh, and Scott, we've said yes to gameplay and controls. We've said yes to graphics. What do you think we still have left to do?
Well, back to you, Robbie. To be quite honest with you, I've had a pretty eventful evening hanging out with my daughter. We painted a little bit, did some things, but I literally just walked in and I looked at my phone and I said, wait a minute, I forgot. We're reviewing games tonight. I got to get on the horn. So I literally just got my TV on my screen. I'm seeing the gameplay. I've heard a lot about shafts. I don't know how many shafts are in this game, but there's at least 3.
Like mine shafts?
Well, there's something about you had to go down a shaft or pull a shaft, or I thought maybe the levels were just purely shafts, like it was an all mining game. But I can see that there is gameplay. I would like to see the graphic of the controller if we could, because I really didn't get to see it.
Well, there's it's glad that you asked, because here it is right here. This is exactly all of the controls mapped out for Shadowman Second Coming. There are shafts, and you're right about that, Scott from Pitt.
Oh well, Scott from the Pit would know about shafts.
Because so you do, so the how to play, it says follow the shaft jumping over numerous pools. So we do have shafts, we do have pools, and of course we do have the ropes that you shimmy along the like from the top. You grab onto the top.
I'm curious as of what kind of sound effects come from the shimmy, because I'm picturing it almost sort of like a. Okay, yeah. We're very much on the same level. We're very close, and I appreciate that we have similar sounds.
We've followed, in some ways, we followed the same shaft to the same platform in search of the same cadeau.
Now, I'm sure there is breaking news to be brought out of Pittsburgh, but we don't have to get into that. I was curious, or maybe we should do the breaking news, because
what's the breaking news that got out of Pittsburgh? What's happening?
Well, the breaking news is, and it's not necessarily breaking news, but it's more of an origin story, a backstory, and as everybody in the chat, well, it's kind of a fact that everybody in the chat and yourself and Allan and even James all know how you discovered and met me. But I thought that maybe that you would kind of like to know how I came about EGI2, discovered you, things like that. That's kind of my origin story.
Well, I'd love to. I think if I would like to hear it. I'm sure chat would like to hear it. Let's get right into it, because there's no time like the present to hear the origin story about how someone found out about twitch.tv/EGI_2.
Yeah, and I guess it's not a true origin story, because we're not going to go back to when I was a wee baby.
Because you have to lie a little bit, don't you?
You do. And so what I would like you to know that I actually kind of discovered all of this stuff. I discovered it long ago, but I didn't know just how beautiful and elegant the things that you and Allan were bringing to life and bringing to us. So I was actually, and people in the chat sound off, maybe you follow this or look into this, and you like this guy, but my YouTube started taking me down rabbit holes of different things that had to deal with ARGs and things like that. And it brought me to a page where the gentleman's name is Nightmind. So shout out to Nightmind, because he is the person that really made me have a love to be honest, made me have a giant love for Allan, which then made me have a giant love for you, Robbie. And
now you and I share a giant love for
Allan and for EGI.
Shadowman Second Coming.
and for Shadowman too. And so, watching this Nightmind,
I call him Nightman.
Nightman. Oh, not to be confused with the Dayman. Oh, whoa.
What?
But so back to the story. I watched Nightmind, and Nightmind says, "Hey, if you enjoy things like this, you would probably enjoy these things." And I said, "Wait a minute, I've seen this before." There was a few things I've seen before, and one of them had to deal with a lot of security footage, songs of flags, and possibly clay. And so I really appreciated the subject who sang songs. I really appreciated everything about it, and I never knew originally that this thing went way further than I thought. And when I discovered that through Nightmind, I was a little mad at the powers that be, because I don't know how to say this. The people who maybe thought that those things belonged to them decided to not leave up all of the things. So I had to hop on the Wayback Machine, which I then learned about the Wayback Machine, and it took me to these old sites and different things, and so then I said, this is amazing. I started diving into the world of Allan Resnick. I said, this is a beautiful man with a beautiful beard. I really kind of appreciate this comedy. And I don't know what you want to call it. I really appreciate everything that you both do, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm not, I know that there are some people getting confused, or some people thinking that this is me sincerely saying to you, Robbie, and to you, Allan, I hope that you see this clip or something later, that I really love you guys. You guys have really helped me through I don't talk to anybody for 3 hours. I watch this show for 3 hours. If you let me on this phone for 3 hours, I'll probably talk to you for that time, Robbie, because I love you guys that much. And it really does help me. And I'll just stop it at that.
Scott, thank you so much for that. And I am so appreciated that to hear about how people find out about the show and all the things that we do. Some things catch fire, and some things don't. But this is always something that we try to do. This is something I've said many times before in different venues, different shows. But the thing that keeps me going is always trying to find ways to create things or work on things or put things out there that would make me, when I was at my loneliest, when I was early, I was in early teens and in middle school and stuff like that. Stuff that would make me feel the way that finding out about something like Space Ghost Coast to Coast did, which was like, oh, I'm not alone.
Yeah, exactly. And and I explain, this show to people, and I'm like, you probably wouldn't like it, but for me, it is like the best thing going. One of the best things going in my life right now, and I sincerely mean that. That's not a joke. I know a lot of people probably think that I play kind of a character calling in. I promise you that this is me. I really don't play many video games, though I have as a child, of course, some, and now I just played Kirby, and I find myself getting back into them, and I really don't know much about tech, and it shocks me how much I enjoy this show. It's wonderful for me. And, one thing that I do have to do, and it's not a joke, it's not a goof, but because I really wasn't here, but I was curious if possibly we could recap the first half of the show.
The first half of the show? Sure thing, Scott. Anything for Scott from Pittsburgh? Everyone hold on to your hats. We're going to be starting with the first... Scott, thank you for your call. We are going to be recapping the show for Scott, who got here a little bit late, and talking a little, and then we'll go back. We'll find ourselves back where we are now, which is we've just said yes to. So first there was the game intro. We watched the whole intro. And then after we did that, we watched a little bit of gameplay footage. This is of course, on a loop. So you're seeing different footage than we saw at the beginning of the show, but I think that most people will agree it is gameplay footage. And then we went into the game review slideshow. We started with all the way back at we started at story and writing, and then we watched this video.
Your voice, keep it down.
And we watched this, and then we watched that video for a few minutes, and then we said, did it have story? Then we said, did it have story and writing? And then we said, yes, it did. And then we looked at this. Then we looked at the picture of the controller for a while, and I took some calls and looked at what people were saying in the chat, and we figured out that the L3 button was not mapped to anything. And then so we said, how do we play? And then I read a great deal of information from an FAQ on one of the levels in Shadowman Second Coming about going through a mine shaft, finding some platforms and something called a cadeau. And then we went back to the slideshow. We said yes to that it did have controls and gameplay. And then we went on to and now we're on graphics. And we had a couple of nice phone calls. So looking what people are saying about Shadowman Second Coming, we want to know. That wasn't the best recap I've ever done, but we do try to give Scott from Pittsburgh, who gave us such a wonderful story that we could take with us this evening after we maybe we're lying at bed and we're thinking about how to, maybe we're going to go maybe we'll get up out of bed and then we'll go outside and put our hands in the mud and maybe. And again, if you're going to use your own blood, be safe and be really thoughtful about where you get it from. Maybe some of us, if you live in drier climates, then you get a bloody nose a lot because the air is so dry. So you get some of that blood, or maybe just like you're going through a doorway and you kind of scrape on the edge of the door frame. You get some of that blood, mix it with the mud. Use some grass and maybe a little bit of your own hair and electricity. Either you could. And again, you want to be as safe as possible. If you're going to take some copper wire that's, plugged, just like strip the plastic off of an extension cord, and then plug that into the wall, and then put the bare copper wire into the mud and the blood, and then of course you say the words that bring the thing to life, and then hopefully there you go. You have a companion.
Thank you, Robbie. I am going to try that or some form of that, and I think it's important to bleed and to shed particles from your body and to feel electricity because it reminds you that you're human. And
of course, if you don't want to endanger the sanctity of the skin and the epidermis, the epidermal layer, then you can always get some blood from the store. And if you don't have a grocery, you can just go to the store. You can get blood from the. They say you can't get blood from a stone, but you can get blood from a lot of stores.
I've never seen it, and you can also get a kind of blood from the mind.
From the blood from the mind.
Blood of the mind.
So this is okay. Wait, who are you? Where are you calling from? First off.
Hi, Robbie. It's me again. It's Jan from upstate, and I just wanted to call because there's something weighing heavy on my mind.
The blood. From the.
It's a bit like blood. I have sort of come to share blood.
Joe
blood of the mind with
Joe
you
Botnick
today.
just said, "Mind blood is milk."
You could say that.
Do you ever see that Eddie Murphy movie where they try to make the kid eat oatmeal with blood in it?
I haven't.
Anyway, breaking news: the blood in the mind is milk, and take it away.
Robbie, I just
Pope
wanted
says
to,
it's the golden. It was the golden child. Sorry, take it away.
When I called earlier, I was hoping to share that something has weighed heavily on my mind and my heart. A couple streams ago, I called in and I used. I was very nervous because I love the show, and it's EGI 2 is my first opportunity to call in, but I watched all of EGI 1 when it was not live. I watched the entire backlog and I loved it. And I was nervous, so I used a foul word. I used a sexy word, and I was not true to my goal of being a friend of the show.
Well, we do sometimes in the heat of the moment, things do slip out, and we don't, kink shame. We don't, people are who they are, and they've got to do what they've got to do to get through the day. And I don't, as long as you end up here talk about Shadowman Second Coming on the PlayStation 2, then I won't hold it against you.
Thank you, Robbie. I appreciate that very much.
And what were you saying about the blood?
The blood of the mind. There's a current of blood. Blood travels through the mind, and it's electrified, and
by the metabolism,
the electricity and the reverberations of your metabolism and your mental fear are shed and spread into the world, and I think that counts.
Well, I think that this game review is going really great. I think people are learning a lot. We're learning a lot about each other and how all of us connect over Shadowman: The Second Coming for the PlayStation 2, but also how we think that science is gets to have the final say, but a lot of times the old stuff, the old magic, the old woods magic, still.
I concur. The hedge magic runs strong, and it's alive today in America.
I was just I'll say one thing about the hedge magic, which is that if you do find yourself in the woods with your little mud, I mean, it's not really a baby, but if you find yourself with your little creation, and it starts to look around and doesn't see you as the person that. It doesn't look you in the eyes and lock eyes with you, and you feel the mental connection that you should feel when you create something with a little bit of your own organic matter. Then that probably means that there could be some sort of a darker magic user, necro, neo. What is it called? Necromancer.
Sort of a Dugpa, but I want to counter that a little bit, Robbie, because I believe that the pure mysticism will always be stronger at heart and in the mind than the hollowness of the dark and the not even necessarily dark, because dark magic can be just as morally correct as well, but I've totally lost my train of thought. But if your little guy looks around and he doesn't see you anymore, then maybe it's just time for him to move into the world and do their own thing. Graphics.
Well, here's the thing. I'll say I'll have one last final thing to say about that, which is that although I do believe that it's possible for these things to have an independence of thought and mind, we do still believe that they don't have souls, despite whatever the BPRD comics have tried to tell us about Roger.
I think it's okay to give a little piece of your soul to people and things that mean a lot to you, and to let go of that, because your soul will grow.
If you love something,
and it will
if
heal.
you love something enough, then what better way to say you love something that you made out of mud and blood and a little bit of your own hair than to let it free, is what you're trying to say.
Absolutely.
But also, witches and warlocks are up to no good.
They're out there, and you gotta be safe and disengage from toxic people.
Absolutely. Thank you for your call, and let's look to the chat to see if we have made a determination during that conversation about graphics if Shadowman does indeed have them. Puppy Mouth Puppy Mouth says, as a witch I'm offended, and I gotta say, I used that. That was the wrong word to use. Warlock is also a little bit of is not the most defining word. What we are talking about, mostly what I'm talking about, is necromancer. Necromancy that involves tearing people out from their final destination and bringing them back against their will. And that's the people that we really got to worry about. Caller, so I believe that what I'm seeing in the chat is that we have a determination on graphics for Shadowman Second Coming, and that is, of course, yes. Giovan H says half graphics, so we're pulling it back. Are we pulling it back? Or are we still landing on yes? We've got story, we've got controls, we've got gameplay, but do we have graphics? Someone said, Giovanni H said half graphics, Nathan Vegetable. I will say, so wait, we do have a poll going. So we're up to 83%. Caller, you're on the air. Caller, you're on the air with EGI2, 6 to 7 out of 10. The graphics is a bit of a controversy right now. We were at 83% for graphics, and now we're at 71% for graphics in the poll.
I say yes on graphics. This is Sandwich from Oregon.
Sandwich.
I say yes. I say yes on graphics.
Yes on graphics. It's dropping precipitously. It's down to 68%. People don't think that Shadowman 2 has what it takes.
I think we're looking at it with I forgot what that term is called. You know, when you're looking back at history with like your current era glasses, and you're sort of interpreting it in the wrong way.
Presentism.
Yes.
Well,
I think.
Sandwich, I do have to interrupt you there. We do have a determination from the poll, and I didn't realize that we did have these polls going about some of the other things. So I'm assuming that we did have polls going for control and gameplay and the other thing. So there we do have a yes. So we can go forward with saying yes on graphics for Shadowman Second Coming.
I'm glad that the polls agree with me.
And what are your thoughts in general about Shadowman Second Coming, or have you thought about making your own little homunculus?
I don't think I would play Shadowman the Second Coming. But the Second Coming.
Oh, look at those weird eggs. Did you see that?
The weird eggs?
Weird eggs.
Weird eggs? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
They are very weird. I have some reservations about making a little homunculus tulpa. I don't like bleeding, and I hate to say this, but I'm vegan, so I wouldn't be buying blood from the store.
Of course, yeah, of course.
I would need to somehow source the blood consensually, and I think that's just a lot of hassle.
There's always the chance that you can make your own blood.
There's a chance, yeah.
I mean, what is blood? What is blood really? It's just some water with ketchup and salt and
I think it's waste.
Some sort of thickening, like cornstarch. I say if
you're right. I can make like a vegan blood. I can make vegan blood.
Yeah, you just got to use electricity at the end. And probably, some sort of a relic. Like toenails from like a priest or something like that.
Yeah, it just seems like a lot of work.
You're probably right. I mean, I get exhausted just thinking about this thing. Following me around everywhere I go, not talking probably.
Yeah, there's just no guarantee that it'll come out the way you want it to come out,
Absolutely, and I think those if there's anybody, but I know Scott from Pittsburgh said that he's a parent. I'm myself a parent, and you do your best to make sure that the kid is cultured and sensitive and thoughtful. But honestly, could be anything. Could be Shadowman for all I know.
No guarantee.
But I wouldn't mind having a child that turned out to be Shadowman. You know why? Because he's gonna live for a long time. Because of the ability to go between the world of the living and the world of the dead, and then they could also potentially have other children with supernatural beings and create just weird hybrid magic creatures.
But what's so these homunculi tulpas, they're like new entities, right? They're not it's not necromancy.
No, it's the new stuff. But if the from what little research I have done on the subject, I do believe that it's possible for the necromancers to get their hands on these creations and turn them against their own. I don't want to use the term masters, but creators.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about. I don't know if I could watch my creation hate me and then turn against me.
Well, you could also, you probably wouldn't want to put it in a box for a long time, because then it could be one of those situations where you die, and then it's still in the box, and then like some years later, just some random Yahoo opens the box, and then the familiar the homunculus goes nuts because it's lost its soul. It's got not soul, but the connection that you had with it becomes a wild thing.
Would that be like Schrodinger's tulpa or like Pandora's tulpa?
I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with no.
Okay, so no.
Making the creature.
Okay, and we respect your decision here on EGI 2. 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews for Shadowman Second Coming, and we have a few more. We have what do we have? We have a few more steps to go through before we get our final determination, the final score. But just from what you've seen right at this point right now, Sam, what do you think is your score?
I'd say 6.7.
6.7 out of 10. That's for somebody who's saying that they're not even gonna play the damn thing. That seems pretty high. That's almost a 7. That's on the.
Well,
That's closer to 7 than it is to 6.
I have to look at it objectively. I might not play it myself, but it seems like the chat was generally going with yes. They are a little torn about the graphics, so I take off 3 points.
Probably because it looks like Soul Reaver.
Yeah.
I think that's a Caddo. Anyway, thank you for your call, Sandwich. We do.
Thank
Now
you.
I just stubbed my foot. We do have another aspect of the game to get out to, and I do want to take another call. But thank you for your call, and we'll talk to you again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Caller, you're on the air with EGI twitch.tv/EGI one single underscore, then 2 6 to 7 out of 10, 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews for the Shadowman the Second Coming. What are your thoughts? Well, maybe they'll call back. Next up, we do have sound. Caller, you're on the air with EGI twitch.tv/EGI_2. It's 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews for Shadowman the Second Coming. What are your thoughts?
Well, back to you, Robbie. your old pal, friend of the show, friend of the chat. It is Scott from Pittsburgh.
Scott from
back
the pit,
again.
back again. Scott from Pittsburgh with the soul and the dole and the heart of gold. What was the second thing I was going to say?
I like that.
The soul and the heart. How about the voice and the soul and the heart of gold?
I like that. But the soul in the hole with the heart of gold does play well as with the Scott from the pit theme.
Of course, the pit, and it is kind of it's not quite a valley or a ravine, but it is sort of sandwiched between a bunch of higher points.
This is true. It is, Sam. Especially, you have those three rivers coming in. It kind of just sandwiches them in all those like it's kind of like a tri-valley. Almost, it makes me think of like the Tri-Force.
Absolutely.
Which I like that.
What are your thoughts about the sound? Of course, that we've heard some of the sound from the story section. Let's go ahead and we'll keep you on the line while we look again at the story bits. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna skip forward a smidge so that we can listen to some more sound from later on in the story game. Spoiler alert: the Grigori and Asmodeus and the Shadowman's story. I'm sorry.
Your voice, keep it down. This place is crawling.
Looking for the Codex.
Well, I believe, I will say, Robbie, back to you, Robbie, that I do really enjoy the sound graphic. That is a killer graphic.
To release Asmodeus from the pit when the time is at hand.
Kind of has this
Iron
Man thing going on in the
visit
chest.
by
I don't know
Mortez
what's going on with
thugs
that.
in order to open the way to Gehenna, the place beyond worlds, wherein lies the entrance to
But I
the
do
pit.
like that flame.
You must stand before the
I wonder
Gregorian
if he
statue
oils
in
that
the Requiem
hatchet
vault
up to
and
get a
read
beautiful
aloud this
sheen on
page
it
of ancient
before he
text
sets it aflame. Because
known
flame
as
is
the litany.
with a low
Grigori planned to
burning
use the
liquid.
Codex to release Asmodeus from the pit, and then they'll.
Well, back to you, Scott from Pittsburgh. I did hear what you said. I don't know if the chat could hear what you were saying about axes, but during the story, that as we were listening to the sound to see if there was in fact sound in Shadowman Second Coming, if the thing that Shadowman was holding in that sequence was in fact an axe. I don't believe it is an axe. I think it's some sort of I think it is some sort of a thwacking weapon, of course. But in terms of what I wanted to say, are you an axe man, Scott?
I'm more of a hatchet man, Robbie, if you can appreciate that. Yeah, because for me, an axe is a little big. I like to do. I do a lot of backpacking and like hiking and camping.
I'm going to interrupt you here. We do have an interesting thing happening in the chat right now, which is that they have been polling as to what kind of a score we are going to be giving for Shadowman, the second Shadowman game here on EGI2 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews 4. And it seems that the based on the poll in the chat, 52% believe that the score should be between 6 and 6.2. What are your thoughts?
I was actually I was leaning towards a 6.2. I thought, no offense to Sandwich, which I actually had a bit of advice for, and I don't want to sidetrack, but Sandwich, you had a bit of a dilemma, and I thought maybe I had a solution for you. Being as though I was myself previously vegan, and I now consider myself, I guess, pescatarian, maybe vegetarian, but that dilemma that you have of not wanting to source blood. Well, good news. Good news. Great news for you.
Breaking news.
Breaking news for you.
Breaking news for a sandwich from Portland.
Plant juice or plant blood is just juice, and that's very easily obtainable. You can go into almost. Yeah, you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And you get a green juice and you're really in there, because then the chloroform is in there, everything.
Jovial Jellyfish says that they spent a certain amount, 5,000 points to make sure that we know that we got that poll going. They've got that poll for the 6 to 6.2%. And what you're saying is that we can use chlorophyll instead of blood to make some sort of plant homunculus, and that you're also a hatchet guy. But I assume that if you're a hatchet, I don't know if you're a hatchet guy because you like the chopping and the slicing, and the breaking and bashing. But one of the things that I used to do as a kid was throw those things against a big old tree stump.
Absolutely. And, and it's funny because I did that myself as a child, Robbie. And if we could have looked into the future and saw that people would actually make businesses out of those, well, I mean, one, we'd be around hatchets all day. Two, we would be around oil to give those hatchets a sheen all day. And I don't even think I have to say anything more than that. But three, we would have been up to our eyeballs in real world bits, because I think those people are making the bits. Chips
are like bits. If you pinch your eyes and close your lips.
And and you did ask about the hatchet, and the reason that I do prefer a hatchet, and it has nothing to do with the slashing or the the mobility or anything, but what I like to do a lot of backpacking, a lot of camping, and like hiking along spot to spot and dispersed camping and things. So when you're doing things like that, Robbie, and you have upwards of 40 pounds in your pack, carrying an axe.
Oh, of course, yes, of course.
About the best thing you want to do, but a hatchet is doable, and I like to combo it with a small, like, hand saw that opens up like a big knife, and with that hand saw and hatchet, I found myself to be no worries. There's no worries.
So I was saying something to Jovial Jellyfish about the 5,000 bits. But one of the things I will say to you, Scott, I do agree with you. I'm not much of a camping person, but if I was to be going camping, I would probably take some sort of a small hatchet as opposed to a full-on axe like a Paul. What's the man with the axe?
Paul Bunyan.
Paul Bunyan. I wouldn't be. I think I was thinking of another guy, but doesn't matter. Point being that I think that it's a great way to ensure that you have enough firewood, and also if you need to strike the axe against some stone to get sparks going, that's also a possibility. But the main reason that I was interested in what you were going to say about the axes, because or hatchets, is that as a thrower, as a person who's thrown hatchets, the way that I worked myself up to the point where I could throw hatchets safely was I started with screwdrivers, moved on to army surplus knives, and then to hatchets.
But that sounds like a pretty good way to transgress to get to that point. With a screwdriver, it's pretty blunt. You'd have to have a pretty freak ricochet or something to hurt yourself with a screwdriver.
Well, the screwdrivers were sharpened pretty significantly, but I don't want to delay the inevitable too much. Scott, I want to thank you for your call. We do have another caller on the line. Give me one, but thank you for your call.
Thank you very much, Robbie. And then I will stick with a 6.2. You have a wonderful evening, and I love you.
I love you too. Scott from Pittsburgh with a 6.2, which follows pretty close to what we were seeing earlier about the from the poll in the chat, giving a score of Shadowman Second Coming to between 6 and 6.2 out of 10, with 52% of the vote counted before the poll ended. Where are we? I saw something a second ago. Give me 1 second here, but I will say that if you just a bit of a disclaimer here, if you do find yourself out in the woods or in your backyard with a stump, tossing sharpened screwdrivers, army surplus knives, and hatchets, and you just be safe. Try to do it with friends, and so if something happens that goes wrong, and if you do end up cutting yourself, make sure to rush to the mud. Put your hands in the mud and have a friend bring the electrical cord that's been stripped down so that we can quickly see if you can't just make the best of a bad situation by creating a homunculus, tulpa, familiar, what have you.
Good advice.
Caller, is this Joe Bot? It's Joe Botnick. Everybody, welcome Joe Botnick. I can tell it from the unknown number. I believe that Joe Botnick is the only one that calls in from overseas. What are your thoughts?
Oh my goodness! I'm not the only caller calling from overseas. I think there's
there was a British
people,
some...
so I don't want to hog it.
Well, you're the only one that gets unknown when it comes through the call registry here.
I'm so mysterious.
It's very mysterious.
But yes, I think 6.2 is fair. I think that's the way we're kind of leaning. It still could go either way. I think we've still got a couple of points to hit. Are we still on sound?
We're still on sound. We haven't made a determination about sound. But what are your thoughts after watching? We could watch a little bit of that story and writing bit. Let's watch a little bit more so we can see if we can get a little bit more of a thought process going about the sound.
Okay, I won't talk too much so we can hear it.
Come play with me, Shadowman. It all depends on what the game is, ugly. The rules are very simple. You either surrender to me here and now in the dark glory of my recreant vault, or you die. I don't think much of them rules. I'll make
Sounded
my
good.
own rules up if you don't.
I can't actually hear it, but I'm sure it sounds really good.
Don't think you can scare me with your Nephilim toys. The star wormwood is in ascension. So everyone keeps telling me.
This is a good time for me to let my cat out, so bear with me.
I ain't afraid of you. You should be. And before you die, think on this. Do not trust the creature that calls itself.
Okay, I'm back.
And Joe Botnick from the UK is back after letting out his cat, and we have watched a little bit more of the using the story montage from previously to make a determination about sound. Joe, what are your thoughts?
I think it is a good sounding game, and I do have a sound related story to tell related to earlier when you were mentioning your personal memories of Shadowman and the burning cockroaches and that what sounded like a very dark time.
It was a dark time, but that was just because of poor decision making and not necessarily because I was spiraling into some sort of train spotting guy. What's it? Irvin Welsh like situation.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But I was thinking of this is a sound related story as well. My dad sadly passed away, I think it's 12 years ago now, and the only recording I have of his voice is from when I don't know what I was doing, but I was recording the menu, the save file select song from Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins. And I don't remember why I was recording it, but the mic was on as well, and my dad walks into the room and he asks me something. And so now that's the only recording I have of my dad's voice. That's the only thing that remains of his voice, is him talking over Super Mario Land 2 and the 6 gold coins.
Well, first off, sorry for your loss, but second off, I wish I could pull it up right now, but that's a pretty nice song.
It's very upbeat. It's kind of like do 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 do.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice, and I listen to it sometimes because you do forget what people sound like after a while. So it is nice to have that recollection.
What was he talking about? Just curious. Now I'm just curious.
It was like such a little thing. He was just asking me if I wanted a drink, and then what I was doing. It's just little things. So it was nothing soulful, but it's funny because that little clip now has I have quite reverence for that now. It's because it's just this weird moment in time that's become an indelible record of someone's entire existence. And in fact, he did. Now that I think about it, he was also a saxophone player, so this is very related to Shadowman.
And I will say one thing about it's interesting that you have such a distinct memory about Super Mario Land 2 and the 6 Golden Chord, because that game came to me as largely as a result of my my parents divorcing and finding ways to try and make us kids feel a little bit better. So I have a very, whenever I hear that song or see that game, I always have a very distinct guttural recollection of a period of time when I was very unclear as to what the future held.
I think it's an important game for a lot of people. It's and games in general are very escapism is important, and video games are a great avenue for that. But Super Mario Land 2 and the 6 Golden Coins, I feel, is an important game as it's about kind of facing your dark mirror self, who's taken over your castle and stolen your gold coins and scattered them across the land, and you have to go on this journey to overcome those trials.
Absolutely. And you get to tackle the trials in any order.
Yeah, you can go to the turtle, you can go to the pumpkin
the machine,
place,
the machine Mario,
the machine Mario,
the bird one.
The world's your oyster, and it's important to remember that.
Joe, I don't mean to step on what is a fairly such a thoughtful and meaningful story, but what are your thoughts about the Shadowman Second Coming sound situation?
I think it's good. I think sound is a yes.
Sound is we're hearing yes for Joe. If there's someone that could pull up a poll in the chat about the sound, then we could probably finally give that thing a determination. But Joe, what are you looking forward to in terms of EGI2's? The 6 to 7 out of 10 out of you, the 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews scores. Game reviews streams are designed to are sort of being pushing it towards being a bit more interactive and a bit more viewer not controlled but influenced show. How do you think things are going? What do you think of the show so far?
I like how it's evolved. I feel like I'm kind of liking that we have this spotlight episode now, whereas previously we'd go through a few games. But like having the time to dig in, I think is a benefit, and I am quite liking the more democratic process we have going on right now. Even though it looks like by the poll that's currently going, people are very split on the sound. But I mean that's
55-45. That's I mean it's looking towards a sizable victory for sound, but as the votes are pulling in, we're up to 66% for a yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's democracy. Sometimes you have a lot of different opinions, and it's important to get a read on everybody. And I think
regular handovers of power are natural. We have to remind ourselves.
Absolutely, yes. We have to keep it civil. We have to keep things moving along in an orderly fashion, because that's what civilization is all about. Excuse me, because I'm just dumping channel points into the yes poll, because I really want sound to win. So
an XOXO Char says, I do miss the news parody. Well, guess what? If you are a fan of news parody, if you're a fan of funny video game news, then you can join us on EGI2 stream 9 next Monday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. Pacific Time, and whatever mean what is it? Median? What the hell time zone are you in, Joe?
I'm GMT.
GMT, General Mean Time.
That's probably what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will of course be there, and I urge everyone else to join us.
Right. And we do have, and all of your favorite segments will be back. All of your Allan will be with us with a special report, and I will be announcing here tonight that we also will have some special guests coming back from the blast from the past, a double-barreled blast from the past. It's two people that you love to hear their thoughts on the games of the day, the game news and culture of the day. It's Cricket and Ben will be joining us.
No way.
It's true, and I'm happy to announce it here first. Then of course later when I do a little trailer, when I go out into the yard and put on the white light and then in the dark and spook out my neighbors.
That is wonderful. That's great news. I can't wait, Robbie. And I'm excited to see where EGI goes next. You know that you obviously do not have to answer this question, and we don't want to spoil anything, but
sure.
Previously, EGI, which obviously this isn't,
sound has won the poll with 60% of the vote.
Fantastic! That is completely legit, and nothing untoward happened there.
So sound gets a resounding yes.
Wonderful. And so my question, Robbie, is: how is this gonna go? Like, how long are we gonna do EGI on Twitch? is this like a season? Because previously we just had these seasons, and then we'd have a little grace period where before the next season. Are we just going to keep going? Because I'm down.
Joe, the answer to that question is that we are going to do it for as long as we can, and that's also that's right now we're under contract from Twitch to avoid game streaming, but we're going to be having a meeting with some of the people that sent us those contracts and talked a little bit about how we can start to maybe do a little bit more of the game streaming to have more have this be a more naturally on stream, but then also to invite more people because there's the not to get too technical, but the discoverability of the EGI2 is quite low since we're always in just chatting and we're talking about games nobody really cares about.
Okay. Well, whatever you do, we'll all be here.
But
we hope the show grows.
The idea is to keep the idea is that is to keep this going until at least E3.
Okay. Isn't E3 not a thing anymore?
What?
E3, I think, is not a thing anymore.
I'm just pulling your leg. No, we're going to make our own E3.
Okay, good.
All right.
I'll be here for that too.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you for your call. Get yourself to bed. Make sure you drive safely in the morning. And we have a resounding yes for sound for Shadowman Second Coming. Shadowman gets a yes. Marco Lot Hernandez says that the sound got a no. But unfortunately, we are doing things increasingly with increasing view of the democratic process. I do find that is a bit more engaging for everybody, and we do have a little bit more of a good time. And we know that we've done our best to make our argument in as what's the word? Ireland teddy bear items, wrecking bar, firearms. Intuitive to the platform on which we find ourselves, which of course is EGI twitch.tv/EGI_2. And now that we've gone through the slideshow of sound, got a yes, graphics, got a yes, gameplay and controls, got a yes, and of course, story and writing got a yes, so that we are now finalizing our scores for Shadowman Second Coming on the PlayStation 2. Again, this is a PlayStation 2 exclusive, but if you have yourself access to any sort of the gray market systems or programs or platforms that could play a PlayStation 2 exclusive title like Shadowman Second Coming, I would not hesitate to... Based on what you've seen tonight, if you see something you like, I wouldn't hesitate to do it, because I'm sure it would be preferable in terms of loading screens that you've probably seen a lot of in that gameplay footage, to have it run on something could run it off of a flash drive, or not something without any moving parts. And before we do our final poll for the score for Shadowman Second Coming on the PlayStation 2, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors for the evening. Mini gaming desktops that cost around $700 to $800, $700 or $800. What's the graphics say? All these bloody windows. $800. Bitmap books, whose books are expensive, and I don't want to open them and get my dirty little fingers all over them, but I would love to have free doubles of all the books I already own. Frame Guide on the Sega Dreamcast, of course, the arena fighting game with medieval connotation. I don't know if connotations actually is what make. I don't know if that's how that works. Or copper wire, which of course is how you get your electricity from the house into the mud with the blood and the hair and grass and sticks and maybe little bird bones that you might find around. The screen has turned brown a little bit, which is always a sign that we should be wrapping up our final score for Shadowman Second Coming. And let's go ahead and take one final call for the evening. If we could get someone on the line at any moment now, and get a poll in the chat to see what people are saying, what their final. We started off with a 6 to 6.2 score for Shadowman Second Coming in the poll in the chat. Caller, you're on the air with EGI. What is it? Twitch. Caller, you're on the air with EGI2's 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews 4. In the final stretch, we are giving the score for Shadowman, the second coming on live here on Twitch on the show.
Hey there, Robbie. This is Mia from Hotlanta.
Mia from Atlanta, how are you doing? Hotlanta, the city that never sleeps, the classic, the city with the T-shaped elevated train system, MARTA, and buses also called MARTA. I know that about Atlanta, and I know a number of other things.
Like what else?
I know that the quickest way to get to the little 5 points is to take from the airport is to take the train to. Well, now I can't remember.
You can just take the train. Actually, just take it down from the airport to Little Five.
You take it to downtown where there's an interchange, and then you get on another train, and then ride a few stops east until you get to another station, which is about a 10-minute walk from Little 5 Points.
Did you ever go to Little Five while you were here in Atlanta?
Absolutely, I go there all the time. There was an Ethiopian restaurant that I hit up several times. There used to be a big comic book store there where I bought a lot of Grendel comics.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool area. It's not far from.
Is the comic book store still
like
there?
Midtown? I don't believe so.
Well, it's a beautiful part of town. Lots of trees. Almost, if you go there in the fall, it almost looks like you're in New England with the trees on the ground and the dampness in the air, and it doesn't quite feel like the Hotlanta that you sort of associate with the city if you go there in the September.
Yeah, it's pretty nice in the fall. I really like the tree coverage too.
Oh, EGI2 says EGI2 Watcher says, alert Robbie, the polls numbers are juiced. The lowest score is 6.0. Well, I do actually, EGI2 Watcher might have a point there. Yeah. Should we be allowing lower than 6? Because we do sometimes have to break the rules a little. Oh, 46% says.
I feel like by the nature of the 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews, we can't go out of 6 to 7, but that's just my opinion. I do respect democracy in the process, but what about the principle?
The principles are of course principles are. It goes to the question of what is the is there a it's a word that they use in like model UN. Mossy lump. No, it happens. This is unfortunately part of the process, but we do believe that that 6.6 to 6.8 is within. If we give him, if we take the 6.6 to 6.2 and add in the 6.6 to 6.8, and then. What does the mean from that? Okay, so help me out here, Mia, because you're the math expert. What is so 6.6 to 6.1 to 6.2? I mean, we might have to go deeper. We might have to go into hundredths, not just tenths.
I feel like tenths would allow a little more specificity in the rankings, so I could see perhaps.
Okay, so 6 plus 6. Mia, tell us about your day while I do this math right now.
Well, I've had the flu for literally about 3 weeks, and I'm making a comeback. I feel mostly normal today, so I was excited to call in to my favorite Twitch stream.
Keep going.
I'm just kind of winding down with my husband. He went to the climbing gym today. I didn't because I'm still a little worried about, exerting myself. I played the Steam Deck a lot today, a lot of various games. I'm really into Coral Island, which isn't technically out yet and can be kind of glitchy, but I've had a good time.
So Mia, I think that Mia and Eraserhead Baby in the chat are about copacetic with the score. Are you ready to hear it? First of all, though, I want to say one thing. I think climbing gyms, people that go to climbing gyms are nuts. You guys are freaks. What the hell are you doing up there? Nubs?
Climbing.
You're climbing like little animals. That's what you are.
Like animals. Scott from Pittsburgh mentioned Refresh from Atlanta, which I'm actually not familiar with. I just wanted to point that out. Scott, have you been to Atlanta? You kind of have like a twang to your accent.
Scott he's from Pittsburgh, so it's there's a bit of the old Appalachian in Scott, as there I assume is in many of the people from that. It's the city of bridges. It's the city of rivers. Where the hell is the right window? There it is. No, that's not the right window. God Almighty, Mia. Rock climbing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I can't wait to get back to it. Thank you for all the well wishes, everyone. I say just be careful and hydrate and take care of yourself.
Absolutely, and hope you get back up there. Make sure to get lots of use plenty of chalk, because you don't want to accidentally get blisters and have the blisters bleed, and then you don't want to waste the stuff that comes out of the blisters and have to go out into the woods there, up into the mountains in North Georgia, and find yourself some sort of like muddy old stream and stick your hands in there. The hope that make yourself a familiar.
A familiar.
Yeah,
I feel like stranger things have happened in the North Georgia woods for sure.
Absolutely, and there's a book by, I think, was it Chris? Who's the guy that writes BPRD with Mike Mignola in Baltimore? Christopher Golden. Does that sound familiar?
I'm actually not familiar.
I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Anyway, if you find yourself with runny blisters and blood, why not just take a quick drive? Atlanta is surrounded by some of the most beautiful scenery, I think, at least on the north side. On the south side, I think it's beautiful too, but it's a bit more of a acquired taste.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up kind of out in the sticks, kind of south of the city. So,
what, like Clayton?
Kind of. More like Coweta County, like way out in the sticks, south of past Clayton, Fayette County, just like way out there.
Like Plains?
Plains, not that far. It's more like central.
All right.
Near like Peachtree City, Fayetteville, that type of area.
Okay, gosh, a lot of beautiful. I think it's a beautiful part of the country. I think it's relaxing to drive through there and spend some time. Even if you do pass some of the old cotton fields, which do give you a bit of send a chill.
You get the heebie-jeebies.
Absolutely. Not just I don't know if it's just the history of it all, but if it's just how the cotton looks when it's growing.
Kind of disconcerting, but I do think it is also a mental association. It's kind of being in the South near the plantation areas. It definitely just gets you to think about the history, I guess.
And what a thing to think about. And what's the transition here? Yeah, how do we get to the final score?
The final score. Well, I guess are we going to?
We're just doing.
I think it's important to talk about. Are we going to stick to the rules?
I do think that we have to stick to the rules. But what we've done is, of course, I think I saw Eraserhead Baby did the same thing, which is basically just take a mean or average from all of the numbers between. That won the poll. So in the first poll it was between 6.6 and 6.2, and then the second one was between 6.6 and 6.8. And just
I'm looking at Eraserhead Baby's responses, and I do feel like they've shown their work, and I'm convinced.
All right, so we're gonna announce now I can't stop thinking about cotton. You ever drive past a cotton field like alone at night?
Yeah,
like when
it definitely feels
up?
like the hill has eyes. Kind of. I think what's that movie called? Reverence. Oof. The spooky Appalachian movie.
God above. All right. Well, let's not waste any more time. We do have a game score to get to, and that game score is, of course, 6.4 out of 10. What do you think, Mia? Fair?
I think it's fair.
And
Deliverance. That is the movie. Thanks, everyone.
Was okay, yeah. Well, that was more in the mountains area, but 6.4 out of 10. Let's see if we enjoyed, if we see the score giving people positive affirmation here in the chat as we round out the evening. Super fair, good score. Am I supposed to read the? Do people like it when I read the chat, Mia?
I think so. I think they feel a little more involved in the process.
I want to make sure that everyone. This is the show that we do want. We're going to keep working on the show. We're going to keep trying to find ways to make people feel like they're part of the scoring process. I do think that one of the callers earlier I think it was Joe Botnick, was saying that they prefer the way of a deep dive into a single game rather than having a whole slew of different games and having a bunch of confusing printouts that I'm constantly reading off of. I think one game per 6 to 7 out of 10 game review streams is enough. What do you think, Mia?
I enjoy this format, but I do see where Joe is coming from. I think it's a little more memorable when we dive into one game rather than a few. I think they tend to stick more, and I actually go look them up or engage with them more often when it's just one.
And that is the whole point, because these are the games that we believe are worthy of a little bit of a second look because they had a lot of heart, or a lot of sound, graphics, gameplay, and story, and the other stuff, controls.
Yeah, I think, and looking at the chat, it seems like they kind of like the idea too. I know I can't speak for everyone, but it does seem like everyone enjoys kind of the more deep dive format.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for your call and for the positive affirmations as to what we're doing here tonight, and what we'll be doing next week. We'll be doing another 6 to 7 out of 10 game review. Current poll. We do have a poll up. Thank you for putting that poll up, whoever did that. And we do have a few moments left, so I will say this, which is that I guess we're going to kind of lean into this format a little bit more. So next time we should have a few more slides ready, a few more graphics, and I'm also starting to get my head around some other sort of overlays and things like that we can start adding to the whole presentation here, so that we feel like everything's moving along, is dynamic, and hopefully next time we'll have Allan, or at least someone else, sort of bounce some eyes. Bounce some. You know what would be good is to go out tonight, since we are going to see some rain here in the big City of Angels here tonight, and hopefully tomorrow, and then all through next week, is to just take advantage of mud and the fact that I do hit my shoulders on door frames a lot, and get a good long extension cord going. So if you've enjoyed the show, tell people to come back and check out some of the stuff that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing EGI2 Stream 9 on Monday night at 9 p.m. and 6 p.m. Standard Time. And then, again, following that next week with another 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews. Thank you so much for all of your wonderful phone calls. And it's just wonderful to hear from everybody and feel like we're all kind of in communication in a thoughtful and engaging way, that we're not just talking about video games, but we're also, finding time to express ourselves and deal with our lives, because life is hard. It somehow is both too long and too short at the same time, and there's not enough. I would say there's not enough homunculus or tulpas or other familiars. Geez Louise. 50% split as to whether we should do. Okay, tell you what, Lyle Chip Person, I think, contributed to the 10,000 channel points at the end there for that 50% split. So we'll try to do, what we'll do is next week we'll do one game, and then the week after that maybe we'll try two and see if we can't find some sort of bit of a medium ground there in the way that we found the 6.4. But thank you guys so much for joining us. See you next week. Stay safe. if you find yourself with the familiars, always remember that if the familiar is not looking at you when it comes to life, then that means that it's sensing that there's a greater power somewhere else.